Alright guys, mods have always been at the heart of Total War. From the earliest days of Medieval 2's sprawling overhauls to modern projects like Divide and Impera on Rome 2 or Dawnless Days on Attila, modders have been the ones keeping these games alive long after their official support slowed down. They create entirely new worlds, new rosters, rebalance mechanics, reskin units, or even rebuild the campaign map itself. For many players, mods aren't just an optional extra, they're the reason they return to these games again and again. If you look at the Steam Workshop or community forums, you'll see how popular mods really are. Tens of thousands of people subscribe to massive overhauls, while even smaller niche projects find dedicated followings as well. So it's fair to say that the longevity of the series, the reason people still sink hundreds of thousands of hours into older titles, is largely because of mods. That's why it feels odd that despite mods being such a clear driver of engagement and longevity, Creative Assembly doesn't seem to highlight them much anymore. And that's essentially what I want to explore today. Why doesn't CA talk more about their mods when they're clearly one of the most powerful tools keeping the community invested in Total War? What makes Creative Assembly's current silence on mods so striking is that it wasn't always this way. In the past, they used to actually recognize and promote the modding community. On the old Total War blog and in community updates, they would run mod spotlights or rally points, short features that highlighted big projects or clever new mechanics in their games. They interviewed mod teams, asked them about their inspirations and challenges, and showcased the creativity of their fan base. For players who didn't always know where to start with mods, these spotlights worked like a curated guide. You could trust that if CA was pointing it out, it was worth checking out. And this approach did a lot more than just promote mods. It gave modders visibility, which in turn encouraged more people, new people, to try their hand at creating a new mod. It also reinforced the idea that CA and the community were collaborating in a loose but meaningful way, one side making the base game, the other side expanding on it. For a lot of players, it showed that the studio respected the passion and effort poured into these free projects. There was also a very clear sense of pride and belonging. Mods like Third Age Total War for Medieval 2 or later Divide and Impera for Rome 2 were cultural touchstones in the community. Even though CA didn't officially endorse them, they acknowledged them in interviews and articles, demonstrating an awareness of how important they were to keeping their games alive. In a way, it was a really nice recognition that the Total War series had grown into something larger than what the developers alone could produce. And this wasn't and still isn't really unusual for strategy game studios. Paradox Interactive is a great example that still makes a habit of celebrating mods today. They feature Mod of the Month spotlights, highlight ambitious projects in their dev diaries, and occasionally even collaborate directly with mod teams. They treat mods as part of the identity of their games, of their brand, not as a fringe hobby. For a time, Creative Assembly looked like they were heading down that same path. Their spotlights and interviews mirrored the kind of outreach Paradox continues to do. And that's what makes the shift so noticeable. The communication lines that once connected CA to their modding scene have gone quiet. Where once modders could expect recognition or at least a nod from the official channels, now they seem to work entirely in the background, with little acknowledgement from the developers who benefit most from their efforts. Fast forward to today, and the contrast is pretty hard to miss. Creative Assembly rarely, if ever, talks about mods in their official channels anymore. The old mod spotlights are gone, the rally points are gone, the award shows are gone, the interviews have stopped, and the sense of back and forth with the modding community has faded into silence. Of course, it's not that the mods themselves have disappeared, far from it. There are loads more mods now. The Steam Workshop is more active than ever, with new overhauls, unit packs, visual improvements appearing almost weekly or monthly. But if you follow CA's blogs, YouTube uploads, or social media, you'd hardly know any of that was happening. This creates a really odd situation where some really popular Total War content is effectively invisible in the official conversation. Entire communities are thriving around projects like DEI, Radius, or Successor Wars, but these conversations only happen in fan spaces, forums, Discord servers, or mod pages themselves. To an outside observer, it can feel like mods exist despite CA, not alongside them. And it's especially noticeable when you compare it to how much time CA puts into promoting their DLC cycle. Expansions and paid content dominate their announcements, live streams, and Twitter feeds, while mods, arguably just as important for the long-term health of the series, get no attention at all. That kind of imbalance sends a message, even if unintentionally, that mods aren't worth talking about, or worse, that CA doesn't see them as part of the franchise's identity. And that's where the real shame lies here, because mods are often doing the exact kind of work players wish CA would focus on, fixing rough edges, deepening mechanics, or even exploring historical settings that main games haven't touched. Yet none of that is ever acknowledged officially. For veteran players who know how much modders contribute, the silence feels dismissive. For newcomers, it means they might never even realize that a massive library of free, high-quality content exists for the games they own and love. So the result here is a kind of disconnect. The community is thriving, but the developers appear absent from the conversation. And while CA continues to benefit indirectly because mods keep people buying, of course, reinstalling and replaying older Total War titles, the lack of visible recognition makes it feel like a missed opportunity. Like I said, mods are one of the biggest reasons people continue to play Total War games years, even decades after release. Think about it. Players still spend thousands of hours in Rome 2 or Medieval 2, largely because of overhauls like Divinity and Impera or Third Age. These projects effectively extend the lifespan of the game far beyond what official patches and DLCs ever could. By not highlighting them, CA is overlooking a very powerful tool that keeps their own back catalog alive and relevant. There's also the question of accessibility. Mods can be intimidating for new players who aren't used to navigating the workshop or external launchers. An official spotlight or recommendation lowers that barrier. It reassures casual fans that yes, this is worth your time and it won't break your game. By not promoting their mods, CA is unintentionally leaving a huge part of their player base in the dark, people who would likely enjoy these creations but never stumble across them. Then there's the community angle. Modders pour thousands of hours into their work, often for no compensation beyond the enjoyment of others. A little recognition would go a long way. You know, when CA used to highlight mods, it wasn't just marketing, it was huge validation. It showed respect for the people who were, in many cases, filling in gaps that official patches didn't address. And that kind of goodwill is something CA could really use today, especially given the recent friction with the community over monetization and quality concerns. Supporting modders openly would send the message, we see you, we value your work, we support you, and we're proud of what you bring to the series. Finally, there's the bigger industry picture. Other studios like Paradox have proven that promoting mods strengthens a game's ecosystem rather than diluting it. Their mod spotlights, interviews, and collaborations keep players engaged long after launch, while also inspiring more people to start modding themselves. And this creates a virtuous cycle. The more support mods receive, the better they become, and the more the game as a whole benefits. CA could absolutely foster that same cycle within Total War, but right now, they're leaving that potential untapped. Essentially, by staying silent on mods and what modders are capable of, Creative Assembly isn't just missing a chance to celebrate their community, they're missing a chance to strengthen the very foundation the Total War franchise was built on. Now, the good news here is that bridging this gap wouldn't require a massive investment or effort from Creative Assembly's part. Even small steps could make a big difference for both players and modders. The easiest option, of course, would be to simply bring back mod spotlights, whether it's in video form or blog posts. A short blog post, a tweet, or a YouTube community highlight featuring a major update to a mod like Divinity and Impera or Radius would instantly shine a light on projects that many casual players don't even know exist. This isn't expensive, it doesn't demand new game development resources or anything like that, and it immediately fosters goodwill. Another approach could be interviews with modders, talking to people behind the scenes. Asking about their research, their creative process, or the challenges they face wouldn't just provide engaging content for CA's channels, it would also legitimize modding as part of the wider Total War culture. CA could also look to studios like Paradox for inspiration. Paradox regularly runs Mod of the Month features and occasionally collaborates directly with mod teams, sometimes even hiring modders to work on official content. Imagine if CA did something similar, offering technical support, documentation, or even just retweeting updates from popular projects. That kind of recognition can boost a modder's reach massively while also encouraging others to dive into modding themselves. On a more ambitious level, CA could create formal support systems for mods as well. This doesn't need to be paid partnerships, although that would, I'm sure, be welcome, but simply providing more stable tools, more documentation, updated mod kits when new patches roll out would go a long way. Right now, modders often scramble to fix their work after official updates break compatibility. A little foresight and communication from CA would reduce frustration on both sides and help keep the modding scene thriving. But even the smallest gestures would matter. A retweet of a big release, a pinned community post, a nod in a developer diary, talking about more mods on the official Discord, these little acknowledgements build a bridge between the studio and the people who are effectively expanding their games for free. They cost CA nothing but time, yet they pay back in community trust, game longevity, and player engagement. The path forward really isn't complicated. CA doesn't need to turn mods into official DLC or micromanage what the community is creating. All they need to do is recognize, highlight, and support the people who are already keeping Total War alive. So overall, mods are certainly not a distraction from Total War. They are very much a part of its lifeblood. They've kept older titles alive for decades, inspired countless thousands of players to return long after official support ended, and built a creative community that has given the series some of its most memorable experiences. Ignoring that side of the franchise does a disservice not just to the modders, but to the players who benefit from their work. Creative Assembly has a chance to change that by simply talking more about their mods, by spotlighting them, supporting them, celebrating them. They could strengthen the bond between developers and community. Other studios have proven that this works, and CA has done it before. Bringing that back would cost them almost nothing, yet it would pay off in loyalty, goodwill, and the long-term health of the series. At the end of the day, mods don't compete with official content. They simply enrich it. They give players new reasons to stick around, to explore, and to care about Total War even when new DLCs aren't on the horizon. And if CA wants the franchise to thrive in the long run, then embracing mods and the people who make them isn't optional, it is essential. I'd ask you, and I really hope you join me in the comments below, to let CA know that Total War modding is a huge factor of success in the franchise that deserves more recognition and more active engagement, and I hope you really enjoyed this video detailing why I think that is so important. As always, subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this, and thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.